success. The last times they played it were in the NAL. They were 1-1 on it, beating OXG 7-1 and losing to Beast Coast, eventual Manchester champs, 5-7 in max regulation. Whereas Geekay have a pretty good record on it. They're 3-2, but the last 2 times they played it were at international events against both CAG and Liquid, and they lost both times.
Jumping into the match at hand, the operator bans are quite interesting. We've seen a big emphasis on the removal of Grim recently in this season, Harrison. He's just so good, having 5 different sets of utility. You've got pocket breaches and EMPs as well if required, and a lot of info with those nano swarms. And he is amazing on this map simply for the cutoff potential he can provide with his gadget. That could almost flatline the ability to do an admin overclear, which is one of the only 2 ways you can attack this bomb site of Meeting Room unless you introduce a Capitao to your lineup. So in this case for DarkZero, because of that Grim ban, they might be opting to go for something a little more direct based on what they're bringing. That Blitz in particular could be a real spearhead if we see him get into the building, for example, by the yellow staircase and just closing that short distance gap against someone important.
Yeah, you mentioned it. That yellow stairs is so important when it comes to pushing without any sort of Grim or without a Capitao trying to get into that plant spot in the corner. Because if you're able to shove your way up yellow and into console, you can still get to the window and end up doing that plant, or sit the planter there to begin with, wait for that Blitz to take control, and then you're safe to swing in. Canadian setting up on the roof with his drones. Once they have enough info, maybe send someone up the staircase. Canadian might be looking to drop Skylight.
I like Canadian as well, being the front man of this clear. Since he's the main IGL of DarkZero, he can communicate when he wants the rest of his team to push, and maybe hit alert from admin like we're seeing the Deimos of NJR do right now, and having extra utility to help bolster him. And that's a big dodge by NJR. Staying alive in admin for backside pressure and avoiding that C4 is going to be big in the late round.
That was a great attempt from whoever threw that C4, but NJR survives with 30 HP. The Deimos, of course, very important for info, especially on Consulate with how destructible it is. We saw, actually, I believe it was E3 we were watching. It was Thrive playing, where they used that Deimos incredibly effectively down below, and we're floor banging several people, but NJR looking to just push through horizontally. He's got the shotgun out, nade to try and force seriously into him, but instead the fight is won by the Warden. Opening pick of the match goes to GK.
Huge opener for Seriously. Logi Bomb going off, trying to make space, but it's not going to do enough for DarkZero right now. Smoke coming out, maybe to avoid any lines of sight here from Bathroom. They're looking to barrel their way in through Comm, but they are running low on bodies.
Blitz in, meleeing down Neskin. That's 1 kill back for DarkZero. Finally, they're on the board. Canadian has to deal with even more bodies, and Trix is dealing with his support, and everybody on DZ is now dead. Seriously, I believe with 3 kills, the Blitz was able to get in, but everyone who was supposed to be pushing behind him were unable to make a dent in the defense.
That is one of the biggest points for GK, is how willing they are to take those 1v1 gunfights. And again, we mentioned this before the match had started. If GK are able to stop DarkZero from taking those advantageous gunfights, they also have a problem with being a little too passive. Typically, the Blitz can help alleviate that problem, but again, if you don't have anybody assisting your shield player, they can easily be snuffed out. Like we saw in Box, Canadian was able to find 1 kill in that round, but instantly traded back, and that was the win condition that DarkZero had, besides their lurk, which again, already dealt with by GK phenomenally, and now they get to go down the basement with a round in their pocket.
Another site where the Deimos can be incredibly useful thanks to all that destruction from above, but DarkZero not too interested in it, at least for now. Rocking both Ace and Thermite. And never mind, Glaz. With Dokkaebi and Blitz, this could be just a straight-up breach rush. There's nothing to stop this hard breach other than a mute jammer. And of course, the Monty that Nath has does have EMPs, but they've swapped off of it back to the Blitz. But no double hard breach means we're likely not going to have a 2-side split. They're probably going to send most of their players clearing upstairs and through that garage breach.
Now the real question is, how are they going to deal with this mute jammer? They don't have a lot of explosive utility besides the Ash breaching rounds. So they might need to try and go above to deal with that piece of utility or just avoid the jammer altogether. Thermite, NJR manages to find a small gap into that double wall, and now they've got a new entryway into the bomb site, but they are still waiting to gather information and maybe get yellow pressure as well so they can deal with that presence by pillar, which typically allows defensive teams to hold on even if that main wall's opened up into sight.
After Mute's change to the spherical area of effect rather than the pillar he had before, the range a little bit nerfed so you can get around some of those Mute jammers on those double walls. In comes Canadian, the spear point head of the attack, along with the Monty. Not many teams are bold enough to rock double shields because although you have massive presence on the map and map control comes to you at ease, you do lose essentially what is 2 automatic guns. These shields, unless they can get up close and personal, are largely going to be ineffective when it comes to a straight-up gunfight. In come the smokes. C4 could be a response from Seriously. Of course, shields no longer cut through like paper by those C4s, and there's the support from the Blitz we were looking for. Bolo outside the breach cuts down Seriously before he could get the kill on Canadian, and the plant going down from Nafe. It'll be successful. Canadian is dead, but his job is done. He took the necessary site control. The plant is down. Nafe is in the corner, now dead thanks to Trixt. And I don't know if this can be covered from the breach. He might be able to just long arm this. Bolo is going to be forced to push in here. He's got 1 kill on Neskin, but Frenchie's just sticking. There's coverage from above, and Geekay in the post plant take round 2.
Phenomenal capitalization by Geekay as well. Once they got rid of Canadian, who was the only person holding down pillar where the diffuser was planted, they immediately barged their way back into sight, going for a retake before they gave DarkZero time to reset. And on top of that, because DarkZero went for a direct play, they did not clear out the top floor, allowing Trix to play above and watch the open breach. For another thing to boot as well, having that player behind the yellow wall, which was right by the breach, he could look over at the yellow door as well to cover his teammate who was disabling that diffuser. In all honesty, Harrison, for that 3 versus 3 retake, that was phenomenal team play, despite it looking like everybody was so separated by DarkZero once that diffuser had gone down.
Yeah, the Mute jammer cutting off that big angle that you usually get from the breach really understated there. So even though they were able to get around it, the Mute's still incredibly useful for the end of the round, and of course killing the Monty, an integral kill there. But it looks like GK, I mean, from what I'm seeing, are vastly improved than from where we last saw them in Manchester.
This might have been a small oversight for DarkZero to bring GK to a map they are well familiar with, especially against their opponents in DarkZero, since they have history in international play between each other for Consulate specifically. We got a piano now as a tertiary bomb site for GK. Looks like DarkZero want to clear out from the bottom floor going upwards. Maybe also having some emphasis once again on yellow, just trying to get Canadian into the building as quickly as possible so he can create space and cause chaos so DarkZero can play off of that and once again try to set up a post plant with the help of those Yin Candelas and Gridlock tracks, plus a Glass. If they can utilize that with the smokes, this could be a very formidable foe that GK now has to tussle with.
To bring in Ying Glass meta back in 2024, I'm here for it.
Yep. All we're missing now is Lion.
We know DZ tend to be a very objective-focused team. It is a big MO of theirs. You have to be careful, though, of those bulletproof cameras. Those can very easily spot out anyone planting in the smoke, and by then you're pretty much a sitting duck. Again, a lot of this is going to be riding on both Bolo and Canadian. Ying to make the space and the Blitz to take it. But they have yet to really pressure out any of these GK defenders from up above. They're completely relying on those flashes and smokes to shut down the vertical angles, but sometimes that can be really difficult. One misplaced flash, and your planter's dead.
Not only that, but seriously playing up above on the Warden. If he's in the right place at the right time, he could simply look over and dodge those smokes essentially with his gadget, but Trick shuts down Canadian before he can even walk into the bomb site. And now the diffuser is in no man's land. DarkZero has to recover, and they have lost their most valuable asset in this round.
At the very least, Pan, but the trade on a seriously who's looking up above. That's the Warden dead, the only guy who would have been able to deal with the Ying, but Nafe is down as well. Trixt is still in the bomb site. Pamba is desperately looking for the refrag, but he didn't know Trixt had already crossed. 3 kills for the Kapkan. NJR finished off, and Bolo is still on the roof and is now left in a 1 versus 4.
Seems like for Bolo, he's simply playing the waiting game. Maybe allowing DarkZero to communicate, figure out what they're doing wrong, and how they can maybe fix some of their original problems, maybe not introducing the blitz in play and trying to go for a more methodical approach to the round like we have known DarkZero for years now. This will also allow them to keep their timeout in their back pocket if they need it later, of course, as well. But so far, Geekay have really punished DarkZero for skipping a couple of crucial steps to their attacking plan. You know, being able to isolate those 1v1 gunfights, killing the blitz before he can have any major impact in the round. And in this case, closing out the final kill onto Bolo will be a timeout actually confirmed by DarkZero, as they really want to find some rounds before switching sides.
Imperative here that they're able to at least get a couple of attacks. Your goal on any super defensive sided map like Consulate, Oregon, etc., your goal is always to get at minimum 2 rounds. But through the first 3, I mean, a flawless site rotation from GK. If they've done it once, they can do it again. DZ need to figure something out now as we're heading on to the primary bomb sites. So GK, if they take Console and Garage once again, DZ are only left with a single point that they can muster on that tertiary site. Like you said, they've been going very fast and direct, which is obviously they've been known to do, but not really this consistently, and not up against teams like GK, who are going to be roaming far afield from the site. They're going to be holding onto those extensions really, really hard. They're not fans of falling back too early, so they've got all this coverage on the bomb site that DarkZero are trying to ignore, but just one small mistake here and there, like not clearing the mute jammer and trying to get around it, giving you less eyes in the site on Garage, or Canadian just happening to look the wrong way instead of checking the head holes because they had no info in sight, getting killed by the Kapkan, and then from there, your spearhead is gone. It's these little tiny itty-bitty mistakes that are just killing DZ right now.
It looks like they're opting for another aggressive lineup, perhaps. Reintroducing the Glaz and Ying combo we discussed earlier. We've got Deimos back in play, this time by Canadian, and an Amaru brought out by Nafe with the diffuser. This could be a telltale sign that they want to hop into the council window and try to plant the diffuser as quickly as possible. But you have all this utility to worry about. You've got the Toxic Babes wielded by Frenchie. You've got Key on mute with that very impactful Nitro cell. Even the opportunity, if someone's playing down below, they could simply have vertical on you, and that could easily shut down any kind of plant to happen from that single window. The Glaz is being taken off the board, though, and now Dokkaebi is being introduced by Bolo, and there are some slight operator changes, but I think this is more or less to help bolster that fast-paced style of play, as now you have the Logi bombs to provide more and more information, and the Finka boost to maybe help give you extra HP. But an interesting note to bring out is Smoke. His Toxic Babe directly counters those Finka adrenaline surges, so if he pops a Finka boost while Nafe is inside and Frenchie is able to throw out his utility, that could easily kill the planter.
And the logic being on the adrenaline rush, you're breathing heavier and inhaling more of that toxic gas, so you take not more damage, but I believe the ticks are just faster. Neskin as well on Legion 2. If a goo mine gets stuck in your foot while you're Finka boosted, the boost goes away, and you continue to take that tick damage from the goo mine. So GK do have several options, whether they know it or not, that will be able to shut down any use the Finka could have. But DZ, of course, looking to probably send Nafe in through that console window when the coast is clear. We also see a lot of times teams will take that Amaru, send them into the window, and have them immediately jump back out just to try and bait out utility. You know, do it a couple times, try and waste those smokes, try and waste those C4s. There is a bulletproof watching that position, though, now being called out by NJR. If they want to go for a fast bait push like that, they're going to have to deal with this because the defenders can just sit there and watch it, and they'll be able to call out whether the utility is really needed or not. NJR now looking for the kill on the mute. C4 comes out from Key, but again, NJR now for the second time this match narrowly evades death by C4.
Candelas popping out. This will be information to now allow GK to rotate and have Seriously more in the front line, stopping this window hop in. But the rest of DarkZero still waiting. They're holding cutoffs and expecting GK to rotate, hoping they can find a kill before they actually hop into the building and try to get this plant down.
You could hear, too, when the first Candela came out, Seriously popped his glasses, so he's more than ready for this player to come through. Canadian gonna try and target the Warden, ends up scanning him with the Deimos. In comes the plant. Nath trying to get the plant down. It's just a base. Shotgun out. Almost takes down Key. Is able to confirm Seriously the Warden is now dead. The biggest obstacle up against this smoke plant is down on the ground, and Key trying to use his C4 to kill the player on the rappel. That was the only explosive they had. Now they're wholly reliant on these gas canisters, perfectly placed. Nave will have to escape out that window, but in the meantime, Bolo has killed Frenchie, and those last remaining toxic gas canisters will die with him. The plant now relatively safe for DarkZero to go for. With 30 seconds left now, flashes to try and herald this Amaru back in. Deimos also has scans he could use to lock down some of these defenders. More flashbangs come out. Do they have coverage from the window? Nave says, coverage be damned, he'll take the kills himself. Panma's now dead thanks to Neskin, but again, Nave pops off the plant. 3 kills with the shotgun, leaves Neskin all alone, and DZ on the cusp, finally winning their very first attack.
Not only that, but prioritizing the 2 most important defenders that GK could have used to stop that plant. You've got Seriously as the opening death, Nafe using that diffuser to bait GK into pushing him where he will perform best close quarters with that primary shotgun. That's the opening kill of the round. Not only that, but as the call is given by GK that there is a plant going down in Castle, you saw Frenchie try to rotate. He gets 1 Toxic Babe off, but again, Bolo holding a cutoff angle shuts him down, and with Mute already using his C4 in that round, that leaves practically no utility left for GK to stop that plant, which forces them into DarkZero's idea, which is again, playing close quarters with that shotgun, using the plant as a pseudo bait attempt, and having the Ying play off that upside down rappel, having their Candelas to blind the opponents and an LMG to hold a very nasty angle that the defense had no real response to shut down once they lost their first 2 defenders.
That shotgun too from Amaru, that thing hits like a truck. He was not
absolutely.
If he was able to get the shot off first, as we saw. Too easy for Nath. Big 3 kills to give his team the first round. And DZ, although again, they're playing very forward against a forward team, that round was much smarter, right? Not just kind of hitting their head against the same wall. Love the adaptation. We're still bringing the Deimos from Canadian. Now a Thatcher being played by Bolo too, so they don't have to circumvent the jammers. They can just plow right through them. Canadian ends up getting the first kill onto Seriously. We saw him placing some Capcan traps by lobby earlier. I guess maybe he got caught on the rotator, just overstayed his welcome, but either way, the Capcan, most importantly, one of those really good C4s for the defense is now down. Canadian maybe looking for another kill. The Aruni playing very aggressively here on the archive stairs, but there's like 3 defenders on this side of the map. If DZ can open that wall, the site might be primed for the taking.
And he might have an idea someone else is close by. He was just holding a passive angle, waiting for someone to challenge him down that hallway. The rest of GK now falling back into the bomb site. This has been a great clear so far. Minute over for DarkZero. They're now getting the main wall opened up, and they have an entry to boot. Doesn't seem like GK have much response as of right now. Thankfully for them, though, DarkZero does not have really any operators they can utilize this verticality for now that they have top floor control, but with there being an excess of hard breach devices in their lineup, they can still play above and get that hatch opened up, which is still a pretty potent angle so long as you have someone sitting up there. And with a lot of the flooring being soft, you could still have Canadian play above as well and use those Deathmark trackers.
Yeah, I was going to say, you say not a whole lot of hurt, but Deimos very powerful. Can get some of those anchors way off the site with the tracker. You've also got, maybe you got breaching charges from the Ace and Thatcher too. Thermite going to be successful on the hatch. The C4 went to the wrong side. Now, yeah, what Nafe did is incredibly dangerous because people are going to be able to hear that, and you could hear the C4 attempt come out, but unfortunately, just the wrong side of the hatch for GK. Could have been a free kill to try and bring things back, but the hatch is now open. Canadian will likely be on Overwatch duty upstairs. Everyone on GK downstairs. Key taking a bullet from that breach. Look at how far pushed off they are from the site. DZ are really looking to walk in here. Everyone is super far away. A couple players on GK are looking to push themselves back up. The smoke comes out, trying to counter Nafe off the plant, looking like he's not gonna stick it, comes off of it, but Bolo, NJR, and Nafe himself all come alive in the dying seconds of the execute, getting a kill apiece, and it's a flawless attack for DZ.
Nafe hopping down off the plant to solidify that final kill by Pillar/Pipes. Great work by the entirety of DarkZero, and a real comeback here after that tactical timeout. They had a phenomenal execute into meeting room, shutting down those early defenders that they needed to remove from the board, like the Smoke and Warden, and kind of a similar storyline, except more of a methodical approach done by DarkZero for round number 5 rather than direct. You have Canadian, who is kind of on that primary info operator besides the Dokkaebi. He gets that first entry kill onto Sirius, and with the help of some well-timed Logi bombs, there is no one that can comfortably trade on GK, so they kind of have to take the walk of shame back down below, where Nafe is waiting with a lurk all the way down the solo blue hallway. That makes things a 5-on-3, and the fact that DarkZero cleared out that top floor in well under a minute on the board, that gave them plenty of time to also set up for the execute down on the first floor, which allowed all of those different pressure points that GK were not able to really deal with because they had already lost so much on that initial run.
5 seconds left before insertion.
I really wonder how
Attackers are moving to defuse
how
the
seriously
bomb.
died so early.
He might have gotten wallbang from lobby double. Possible.
Maybe. Or maybe he just peeked.
Yeah.
That's also very possible.
Yep.
Deimos again being taken by DarkZero. That's NJR. Panba swapping onto the Flores. Maybe identifying that there was a Goyo on the board, wanting to burn those packs really early on so that any plant attempt would not have to deal with it. Nafe, curious to see what utility Nafe is bringing. Of course, with the recruit, you can the new recruit striker and sentry, you can bring any combination of any 2 secondary gadgets on the attacker defense. A lot of times we've been seeing EMPs and hard breach, kind of a do-it-yourself build. We can see flashes and nades, or flashes and smoke, so you can burn for yourself and then use your other throwable utility. Tons of different combinations. I'm actually really glad that recruit is now seeing consistent play in comp. It's kind of cool.
Flashing grenades here for Nafe in this round, and NJR, oh my goodness. Shotgun on the cutoff. Key was not expecting that. That's yet again another early opener confirmed by DarkZero. It looks like NJR is just waiting for someone to recontest him. That's not to be the case currently. DarkZero, again, still just holding these cutoff angles up above, both on the window repels and the primary skylight. But now that they have the yellow wall opened up, they could maybe try to assist Pambazoo, not only with that entry of attack, but also a Logi bomb for extra information for him to walk up.
Now Nafe gives his team a 2-man lead. What a shot from Bolo, looking for the second, gets refragged. Deskin now shotgun out, catches Nafe with a nade in his hand. It's only a 1-man lead, but Canadian with the cutoff makes it so it's all up to Frenchie, and he can't do anything against Panba, who's finally ascended the yellow staircase. And DZ, off of a mint timeout, take 3 in a row to answer back and tie the attacking half.
And it's exactly what they needed. Not only the timeout, obviously, but their play style of how they look at GK's defenses, not allowing them to trade and looking for the weakest link in the group of GK. That was the best way to go around getting those 1v1 gunfights, and denying the ability to trade has also been a huge boon for them so far in that first half, because they had the Logi bomb soon after, because they had 2-man stack-ups on certain positions. GK did not feel comfortable enough to re-engage against DarkZero without maybe having things turn into a 5-on-3. But that's what DarkZero wanted. They want that map control. They want to keep their man advantage. They want to be able to set up properly for the next gunfight, which again, having all that utility that you mentioned, Harrison, the flashes, the grenades, the Dokkaebi calls we've highlighted now several times, that just puts them in more advantageous positions to flush out the rest of GK and basically constrict them as they're looking to push the bomb site.
Yeah, DZ did a great job balancing operators with late round execute utility and early round kill getting utility. So they were able to get those early advantages and just convert. Now GK on the attack, and this is where things might get a little bit shaky for the MENA squad. DZ are defensive wizards, and we talked about it a little bit before the show while we were prepping, John. GK have a tendency to stall out when something doesn't go exactly according to plan, and when the defense doesn't give them opportunities to find picks. And we know how passive DZ like to be. GK stall out. They have a little bit of an inability to force the defenders to make a move and give them opportunities. If the opportunities aren't gifted to them, they can struggle. And DZ, we know, they like to be passive. They like to play the strategic game. So not only are they going to refuse to give GK easy opportunities, but these defenses are probably going to be a lot more complex than what GK is used to in their home region.
Candela's popping out. Logi bomb to follow suit. There's the smoke detected, but Pamba's actually better. It's the mute, my mistake, but regardless, sufficient map control here established. Nade tossed out and a cheeky angle by Trix above the desk to eliminate that first line of defense, but NJR from down below blows up Frenchie, and that's a lot of your post-plate utility. Those Capital bolts to create space and deny lines of sight with the smoke and X16 bolts are now down the drain. Not only that, but GK as well do not have any control by that projector single wall because it was opened up by DarkZero in the prep phase. GK do not feel comfortable peeking that position because they have nothing to open it up, so they might just have to barrel their way in through these two doorways by admin side, and they still have the vending machine player to worry about on top of that.
Yeah, the 2 kills DZ got there on the Ying and Capital, those are probably the best 2 kills they could have possibly asked for in this particular round. Could not ask for a better start, and all you lose is Pamba, who's already put all his utility down except for that Nitro cell, but again, you sacrifice that for how important the Ying and Capital tend to be. They did drone out Bolo behind the soda machine, but you're going to have to take a 1v1 against Bolo. Hopefully Neskin and Trix are able to coordinate something here. Flashes go out first. Is anyone from DarkZero going to rotate to help? Looks like they might have someone rotate long desk, but no, Bolo's a dead man. The nade goes through. Nafe to follow it up. And DZ now almost at a man disadvantage. Luckily, Canadians there to run out and kill seriously. We're all tied up now, 2 apiece. Flash is coming in from Neskin. Trix attempting to get this bomb down. There's no utility from NJR or Canadian to stop it indirectly. They'll have to just walk at them and take these fights. The planter able to get out of the spot. Trix survives, and now Canadian's dead. It all falls upon Nick in a 1 versus 2. The attackers very separated, which is good news if the Warden has any info to play off of. These are 2 very separate 1v1s that he can isolate, but he needs to win them, and he needs to find them first. Neskin is backed way, way off. He might have some info, but the Dokubi for now evading his sights, just toying with him, knowing that the attack, all they need to do is delay time. Neskin running circles around the Warden, Trix playing incredibly passive, and with the 7-second mark eclipsed now, GK take their first attacking round, a much, much needed point.
Great recovery by GK as well. We talked about their limited utility after losing the Ying and Capital, their primary util-focused operators. But something you highlighted in the first half, Harrison, was the new introduction of Striker and Sentry. Having both those flashes and frag grenades was just enough for GK to kill Bolo by vending machine and make enough space to close in on that gap to get into the bomb site. It got tricky for a moment, but being given just that small opportunity to get out of admin and then utilize those deathmark trackers to gather extra information and again create that space to get into the bomb site, that was just enough for GK to get in and plant that diffuser. Not only that, but not just having direct coverage there, having someone rotate into long desk, that way they can have a really nasty cutoff angle in the heart of the bomb site and trying to dodge that bulletproof camera that was in the objective too. That was a really well-made adjustment by GK despite them having limited resources.
I was really surprised that DZ didn't opt to rotate anyone over to help Bolo. That could have been a very easy 1-2 punch, especially with those both the players, both Neskin and Trix, both busy pulling out those nades and pulling the pins. That could have been at least maybe a refrag for Bolo instead of just a freebie. But he also had seriously doing a great job pushing the backside, and ending up going I believe it was 1-for-1. Hibana and Ace on the board for GK. Probably going to have the Ace focus on that garage breach, but does have to deal with the Tuberau. Now, they do have a Bandit. They maybe could rotate over to get the Bandit trick down, but it looks like they're really just interested. No, the EMP, it runs out.
That Tuberau gadget, the Zoto canister being able to stop the EMP, allowing the Bandit charge to reactivate, keeping this wall intact. Key might have known that, so he picked up one of his 2 Selma charges. He'll rotate elsewhere, but from down below, it's the C4 impact from Big Bad Nadian. Frenchie is gone. That's your hatch present too. So thankfully, Key still has 2 Selma charges. If they really want to get this hatch opened up, they could do that. But that'll also force a very impactful choice here for GK, whether they want to go back down below to get this main wall opened up, or do they want to prioritize the hatch?
Yeah, it's all about simplifying the game if you're DZ and removing these opportunities. The shotgun is close from Pamba. Neska's got his own shotgun out. Pamba wins the initial duel, but doesn't see Trixt on the floor to get the refrag, so still only a 1-man advantage for DZ. And now, Cams in GK's control, likely at least 1 bulletproof with both Elysian and a Castle, and even a Malusi on the board. There could be multiple bulletproofs in the bomb site. Defense now has to be careful of that default cam too. Both Nafe and I believe Bolo down on the site, outside garage looking in. Canadian still on the top floor. Could come down for a late flank. He's someone we'll need to keep an eye on, but Bolo is inside of Archives and cuts down seriously, walking solo down those Teller steps.
That was one thing that allowed DarkZero a nice recovery there, was the lurk presence. Bolo acknowledging that, holds control of server, finds a nice 1-for-1 pick, and it seems like the rest of GK just have to hope and pray they can get in through yellow door, but it's not going to happen. There's a crossfire established by DarkZero. They find the first kill onto the ace, and they close things out as Bolo rotates back into sight, realizing there's no backwards presence. DarkZero, phenomenal recovery round to keep us tied.
That was a case of GK. I think each individual player on GK trying to do a little bit too much towards the end there. We saw 3 completely disconnected solo pushes. 1 from the back, 1 into the bomb site, while the Dokkaebi was still sitting on yellow stairs preparing to make a call. At that point, you have to do something together, right? It's better you do something dumb together than smart separately. That's kind of the rule 1 of playing with a team in Siege. And GK there, 3 individual pushes, taking 50-50 gunfights. I mean, the first one maybe a 50-50 gunfight, the others much less so. And DZ able to tie the score 4-4, though that one attacking victory from GK that they were able to claw back probably still hangs heavy over DZ's heads. It should probably be 5-3 with the start that they had and the utility that they were able to pick off early. But now we go down onto Piano. Canadian already with a C4 kill on this defensive half, just 2 rounds in now on his trademark operator.
Cardiac sensor. You want to play down below? Plenty of self-information you can provide, and his teammate close by, if they have a nitro cell, they can also activate it while you are providing info for them. It looks like Canadian will just be a lone front playing down below, trying to utilize his barricades to get any kind of sound cues later in the round, and slowing down GK if they were to push from the basement. So far, it looks to be a Visa overtake with some info provided via Neskin's drone. Maybe a cutoff angle established by the window seriously currently provides, or resides by, mistake. And it looks like they're now realizing that it seems to be a pretty boxed off position by DarkZero, having these castle barricades so they can easily transition throughout the first floor, and some presence being established too on the top floor as well by GK. DarkZero are trying to utilize this entire map to their full-fledged advantage.
Canadian sees a couple players outside that yellow doorway, likely now calling for some support. He does have someone on the yellow stairs with him. I believe it's Panbazoo on the mute. First Dokkaebi call now comes out. Canadian looking to take the first gunfight, and both of them strike together. Perfect timing from DarkZero. That is what they're all about. Each of them get a kill. Panbazoo does get refragged by Key, but it's another man advantage for DZ. You've lost the gridlock tracks from Seriously. The nades die with him, and those calls.
Again, great coordination there by DarkZero, spotting the initial brunt of the attack. Canadian calming that over, and Panbazoo just slowly creeping his way back to yellow stairs. So they have a pretty decent crossfire, and they both win their 1-for-1s. Sure, Pamba ended up dying, but it's the same storyline as round number 7, where he already has his utility placed. And now GK are unsure if they want to continue pushing in from yellow. They have a Candela to utilize, so that's the yellow stairs player taken care of, but Canadian is still bottom by the radio window, and he is refusing to move.
He didn't push off that Candela either, so a bit of wasted utility, not daring to challenge Canadian on the UMP. GK, maybe we're seeing a little bit of that stall out, unsure of what to do with themselves now that they've lost that initial yellow stairs push. We even see Key just leaving abandoning the position. Frenchie at least able to open one of those sight walls. Plenty of castles around Neskin. There's really only 1 or 2 spots that now he's going to have to worry about when it comes to a flank. Nafe is watching one of them. Neskin now taking a bullet, but survives to fight another day. Frenchie finishing the wall breach. He's now got an avenue into the bomb site, but there's so many angles to worry about. One to his right, one straight ahead, and looks like he doesn't know if there's vert on him either. With 20 seconds left, Geekay are going to be forced to make a move. Nafe takes out Key. Canadian is continuing to just call out all of this information, completely unbothered. Neskin does take down Nafe on the site. The diffuser has been recovered, but how much does it matter when Canadian still has a C4 in pocket and all of this information? 2 seconds left. The plant is going to have to be forced. It's all up to this player to cover, but they don't even get the attempt down.
You are out of time.
DZ retake the lead 5-4, and GK are going to take a timeout.
Hoping to slow down DarkZero's progress in this best-of-1 series. Ever since we saw that timeout, Harrison, DarkZero have not lost the entry. And once again, we've mentioned this for GK's attacks. If they're not able to find that plan A working out for them, they tend to not be able to adapt mid-round into a plan B. And we saw exactly that, Harrison. The only time that GK were able to recover was back in round number 7, where they were still doing an admin overtake. And that was a bit of an oversight by not assisting Bolo by vending machine and having him be solo cleared out by the recruit in that round. But in this case, for round number 8 and 9, it was 2 opening gunfights secured for DarkZero and no trade potential for GK. They had to completely rotate around the map, which wasted a lot of valuable time, whereas DarkZero, they didn't have to do a whole lot. They still had presence down below, Canadian providing his teammates a lot of info so they can swing off of. And again, that veteran leadership is really coming in clutch right now by having Canadian constantly communicating with his teammates and telling them how they should be swinging and what they should be expecting when taking those gunfights.
Attackers need to locate and
Oh
defuse
yeah,
the
I
bomb.
mean, the only thing better than an experienced IGL on Pulse like that is just straight up a Valkyrie. Canadian plays that. I mean, there's a reason, again, why it's his signature operator. He loves the Pulse, and after that initial double swing, I mean, being able to just work down there, do whatever he wants. The round is pretty much over from that point, and now DZ, they can smell match point. They're going up over towards console. Now this is where GK have their sole attacking win thus far, despite DZ's really strong start in that round. Again, they took out the Ying and Capitao first, but GK were able to isolate some of those fights. They had seriously pushed the back as well and find a couple of unanswered kills. Now they have swapped up what they brought from last time. They do have the Ying, but no Capitao. They've got the Hibana as well from Frenchie. They did not bring a hard breach in that first attack. Maybe they had secondary hard breaches on the Capitao, but no one dedicated. It got gridlock as well to perhaps shut down those flanks. You got an extra set of nades too. I like what DZ are doing with this wall as well. Something that you don't often see. Most teams will opt to reinforce that. DZ have left it open, and it's shotgun to open. So if GK want to rappel up onto that balcony, it is a huge risk. And because it's so risky, DZ have pretty much outright denied a power position.
And I think that's why they brought the Hibana, trying to hope that these Skyros charges can go off at the right time, allowing this wall to be opened up. Because last time, GK had no hard breach, and they had no range breach on top of that, obviously. So they were kind of forced to not play off the single wall. And yeah, that's where Frenchie was at the beginning of the round, still having all 18 Skyros pellets in his pocket, though. Maybe he'll wait to rotate later on to get that position opened up. But seriously, an important kill. After that timeout, they're able to crack the code of securing these opening gunfight wins, and that's Nafe gone. Your biggest stall operator, besides maybe Goyo in this round, is off the board, and now a position that was a real pain for GK to clear out earlier because Pamba was in this position, is now already forfeit by DarkZero in a minute 30.
A great opening pick. We know how important the stall is up against GK. They stall out by themselves so often. That smoke to double down is no longer available to DZ. No response either because of that position on the rappel. No one was there to try and answer. Neskin is now looking to climb up those yellow stairs while the rest of his team applies all these little pressure points around the map. It looks like the attack, the play here is they're trying to constrict onto this defense and make nowhere safe, catch these defenders while they try to rotate. Key with the Candelas in hand, Maybe looking to make a push off of this, continuing to throw them out. Neskin down below, covering to make sure there's not going to be any C4. The Candela is now finished. Smoke's coming out from Key as well. Is Geekay looking like they're pushing over towards the yellow side? Frenchie has got himself in towards Baguette. No one playing in bathroom, so nothing to stop him for now. There is a player just by those head holes that could swing him if NJR decides to back up. A player right next to that long desk door as well. But Key will give his team a two-man advantage, but Canadian strikes from behind the desk. That's Diffuser down right by the window. Panba kills the Ying on the other side of the map, and no one else from GK is even near the bomb site except for Neskin. Trixt is dead, trying to enter through the building. Seriously, has a goo mine in his foot. He doesn't even have time to pull it out before he's dead, and the round is over. GK, without any info on where those players in console are, their Baguette push gets shut down and they get picked off one by one.
And I'm so surprised GK opted to rotate there. Again, they found the opening kill. They still had their Ying intact, plenty of utility to close out Vending Machine, which didn't even have a shield. It was just Bolo holding it by himself once again. Yet they decide, you know what? We don't have console cleared out. We don't have this main meeting area, this desk area cleared out. Let's just push through it and hope for the best. And they weren't even working off of any info. It was just audio cues. So it DarkZero kind of waiting patiently for GK to overexpose themselves. They find not only 2 kills to tie us up 3-3, but they also leave the diffuser in the middle of the open for no one to recover because the last 3 attackers are in or outside the building waiting to hop inward. That was a huge mistake by GK, and great job by DarkZero to capitalize on that too.
What a power play from Canadian to sneak past the angle on that window and hide behind the desk to stop the Hibana.
Yep.
And I mean, there's a big reason, right, why the pushes tend to come from admin side or the window or like top yellow into connector. Because Baguette, which is the old call out for it, I think people still use it because the French flag is still there, so I'm going to keep calling it Baguette. There's a reason why people don't just walk into Baguette, because there's like 30 angles you have to worry about. The Hibana, it's impossible for you to watch all of them at once unless you're literally sending 4 people into the same room, in which case it's still a death trap, because why do you have, that's like too many cooks in the kitchen. Why do you have 4 people there? Now DZ up by 2 points and on match point, looking to lock this out and send GK to the lower bracket. If DZ end up winning this game, they will face the winner of Into the Breach and Furia, and they're already on their way. Bolo with the opening pick on to Seriously, who now drops to 4-10, and that important info off the Deimos is lost.
Once again, your primary entry falling short. Oh, the run out! Canadian shoots down the C4, spots Key on a drone, almost finds another, but he overstays his welcome. Neskin clinging on to life by a thread. Will trade the Solus down, forcing him on camera duty, but regardless of that, it's been just about a minute, Harrison, and DarkZero already have 2 bodies down. There's only the Hibana on the board. They've got to deal with a Cade, and they only are utilizing pocket EMPs. Maybe Nave could, of course, try to Cade trick if he had both of his Kaid claws in his back pocket, but that does not seem to be the case. He has 1 on the primary breach and 1 most likely on the hatch. But here's that problem once again, GK just kind of self-stalling. They're still droning out this top floor, expecting someone to be here, but the rest of DarkZero have now fallen back down in the basement, and NJR, off a sound cue, I would imagine, or some type of info, blows up Trixt, and those are your EMPs! They can't get the hatch or the wall opened up now, Harrison.
I don't know how we got that C4. Maybe just pure intuition. The second C4 though from Nafe misses, and the situation just went from bad to worse to nigh impossible with the death of Trixt. Frenchie desperately opening up any of those hatches over towards the backside, towards Archives, to try and take this control away from Nafe. Getting hot drone now by Neskin. But do they know about the player tucked in towards Sandwich? I believe that's Bolo on the castle. Frenchie worried about the tunnel, and no, they don't know about Bolo. And Lasty shot and a third with the shotgun to end the map. Bolo for 3, DZ 7-4, and they got a date with either Into the Breach or Furia. GK move on to the lower bracket best of 3s.
4 rounds in a row for DarkZero.